Fun, informative, and expert advice. It's Hometown Experts on 98.3 The Torch. And now, your hosts for Hometown Experts, Monk and Kelly.
Hometown Experts is brought to you by Hassel Family Chiropractic,
600 Monkeys Computer Service and Support,
Leaf Guard Exteriors,
Basement Replacement Experts,
Iowa Soft Water. So in this Hometown Experts segment, we're going to talk to Sold by Jason. Jason is with RE/MAX, and he's an expert in this field. This is a hot market, right, Jason?
Very hot.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't matter where you are, south side, north side.
any side.
any side, west side.
Metro-wide.
Yeah. So predominant things that maybe a new homeowner, what they're looking for when conducting a search. If I'm like a new homeowner, I'm like out
What
there.
should be the first step?
First step's definitely get linked up with a lender, get pre-approved so you know what you can afford. So you don't fall in love with a home and then find out maybe it's $10,000, $20,000 more than you can afford when there's plenty of great homes
and you
in
miss
your price
that.
range.
Yeah, and you waste all that time looking for a house that you can't afford. It's like that with, if you're going to buy a car, if you're going to buy a television set, you've got a budget for it. So find out basically.
Everybody likes to window shop, but when you're really out there looking to purchase something for you and your family, there's no reason to look at things you can't buy.
Yeah. How do you handle window shoppers, by the way? I mean, those
people that aren't really in the market.
I
but
call
are
them
looking anyway.
I call them looky-loos. I call the looky-loos from Whoville.
Yeah, qualifying questions when I first talk to people. Oftentimes I like to sit down and have a conversation with people before we just all of a sudden go out and look at 20 homes.
Sure.
Just kind of see where they're at. If somebody doesn't want to buy a house until next year, especially in a market like we have right now, there's no reason to look at houses right now.
Sure.
And, maybe get a general idea. I do that
maybe
for
areas
people sometimes.
Maybe, like the general vicinity you'd like to, but things will change from year to year, right?
Yeah, prices will change. Inventory definitely changes. I mean, if a house is for sale now and it's still on the market a year from now, more than likely there's a very good reason for that.
So you would look at that and say, okay,
It's
because
either overpriced
right.
or maybe there's a structural problem or something like that.
Or just something quirky about it.
haunted.
We were going through a house last night and we're like, oh, hey, this is a great house. It's been for sale for 4 months. What is this? And then we got into the bathroom and we're like, oh, that could be it.
Okay.
Just funky things about it.
Sure. And as a buyer, I mean, they always say buyer beware. You should have a list of things that you're looking for. If I'm the buyer, do you represent both buyers and
I do
sellers?
both buyers and sellers.
Okay.
So a lot of realtors will choose one or the other, but you're able to
I like
do
to
both.
do both.
Yeah.
When you're bringing somebody around and you see something that's for sale by owner, for example, what's different between that and dealing with a realtor?
Well, where to start?
Yeah, really.
As far as from a buyer standpoint, if you're working with a realtor, that's why you hire us in the first place. We're trained professionals. We handle that. So from a buyer standpoint for sale by owner, not really a ton different for it. That really, the differences come into play when you're trying to sell your home. So.
And what are some of the main differences?
Well, anything is, everybody likes to save money. I like to save money. So that's the immediate, well, hey, the market's hot. I can list with, myself or some random,
Right.
1,
and
2, 3,
my uncle's
ABC,
cousin's
real
brother,
estate,
yeah.
buyme.com and put it on all the websites and things
Right.
like that. A lot of things people don't realize, commission is not 10 to 20%, but a lot of owners get 10 to 20% less for their home because
Really?
buyers perceive the value of an agent. If people see a for sale by owner, they're like, oh, I bet it's overpriced.
Or
they
you can get a better
immediately
deal,
think
sure.
that these people aren't willing to pay a professional that does it every day
Right.
to handle the transaction. Selling a home is a lot more than putting a sign in your yard. Getting the offer is only the beginning. There's inspections, there's appraisals, there's title.
If I had a
there's
home,
all the different things.
if I'm selling a home, I want to hire a professional because that's not what I do for a living. It's not the business that I know. And then, you have your home and you're inviting people in. You're like, hey, come on in, go look. Yeah, take
Absolutely.
a look.
I mean, maybe
That's scary.
Maybe you're home for the day. Let's just say, your standard American family, mom, dad, 2 kids. Mom or dad, let's say, is out doing some shopping. The other parent's home with the 2 kids, and somebody knocks on the door, says, hey, I'm in town from Cincinnati, saw the sign in your yard. Can I take a look around? Now, when you're for sale by owner, most of the time people say yes, and they just open their door and
scary.
say, yeah, come on in.
Sure.
Yeah, case the place. It's all right with
my
us.
jewelry's in the drawer upstairs.
And what's the difference with a professional?
When you're working with a professional realtor, our time is valuable, especially in a busy market. We vet our buyers before we show them houses. We have a conversation. We make sure they're pre-approved. We know their name. We know their phone number. We know all of these things. as opposed to just some guy that calls you from the internet. I mean, everybody knows what happens on the internet.
And that's something that we have not done on Hometown Experts yet. Sold by Jason. We haven't actually even given your phone number out, so I'd like to do that.
Yeah. My name's it's Jason Stuyvesant is my last name.
I didn't want to pronounce it because I was like, I just Sold by Jason's a lot easier. But you do have a website too.
Yeah, and it's soldbyjason.net. And you can reach me at 515-778-9669.
They always say give the phone number 3 times, just like in real estate. It's location, location, location.
Okay, so
in radio,
phone number again.
Yeah, it's 515-778-9669.
And
Or
for the person who's lunging for their pen right now.
it's the 515-778-9669.
And for slow people like us from Tennessee who moved here to the Des Moines area, it's
778-9669.
It's slower than that, actually. No, I'm just kidding. Sold by Jason, Hometown Experts. He's our guest on 98.3 The Torch. We're Monk and Kelly. We talked about some of the things that homeowners look for, why you should hire a professional, things that make a home, make a good home. When you go out to vet for your client, if somebody comes to you and says, Jason, this is what what do you ask them to give you as information?
As far as, what they need to know.
Your initial conversation is some of your basics. Where do you want to be? You want to be in Ankeny? Okay. How many bedrooms do you need? Is a garage important to you? What about a basement? Is there a certain number of square feet that are important to you? And then ultimately, and this is why you need to speak with a lender as well, which, side note, a realtor can find you a great lender. Don't just go online for that either, because there's a lot of very, very bad ones out there.
And you have personal relationships with banks or people
Absolutely.
or, organizations that you've worked with before. And so you've done deals throughout the years.
Yeah. And another thing to mention on that, it's actually not legal for a lender to pay a realtor for leads. They can't do that.
Right.
So if your realtor is recommending someone, that's because they trust them and they know you're going to have a good experience, not because they're getting some kickback
Right. Good point.
through you doing that. And I think when I'm really pushing for my lenders that I work with, I always make sure and say that because I'm confident in their abilities. And sometimes I don't want people to think that I'm getting something out of it other than their positive experience.
Sure.
Most rewarding experience you've had as a realtor?
Most rewarding. I would probably say my very first closing. I got into real estate both for the freedom. I have a marketing and advertising degree from Drake, go Bulldogs. Wanted to use that and really liked all of those things. What I didn't take into account was how exciting it is when you close on your first home. My first closing was with the first-time home buyer, and seeing them at the closing table, the joy and excitement in the room, I mean, it's a high. And I didn't anticipate that when I got into it.
Yeah.
And here, over 6 years later, I'm still riding it. I love it.
Yeah, you
Seeing
get
the
to
smile.
hand people the keys. Yeah.
Well, you saw their dream come true.
Absolutely.
And they saw their dream come through with your help. And that's the fun part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's aside from starting your own business, perhaps it's the number one biggest financial decision that you make in your life.
It is by far the biggest, I would say.
I even tell people sometimes, they'll counter that with saying marriage, but sometimes it's easier to get divorced than it is to sell a home you can't.
Yeah.
Hometown Experts on 98.3 The Torch. Our guest is Jason, sold by Jason. And again, your website and a phone number.
Yeah, that's www.soldbyjason.net, and it's 515-778-9669.
Thanks for being with us this
Thank
week.
you.